Today, no one in the market research space can escape the impact that mobile technologies are having on our business, and none of us can afford not to support our respondents who desire to use mobile devices when they're participating in research activities. I think all market research companies need to be making plans to fully upgrade their servers, surveys, even those dreadful trackers, their panel management practices, and their research communities to support end-to-end research experience in dual mode. Otherwise, you risk being left behind and worse, becoming obsolete. I decided to focus my session on this topic because as an integrated market research solutions provider with full multi-mode capabilities, we're often asked how to go about mobile, and that is taking your traditional online research tools and making them more mobile. And obviously there's comprehensive ways to migrate all at once, but a lot of people want to don't have necessarily the time and the resources to do everything at once. So we believe there's some interim steps that can be implemented on a sort of a slow step-by-step basis that provide a vastly improved mobile experience, and here focusing particularly on community members. I'm going to provide some recommendations around those types of implementations. So let's get started by considering why mobile support for market research participants is even necessary. The primary driving factor is the need for the need for dual mode panel expansion is the evolution of the participants themselves. They're reflecting the general population, which today has already gone mobile. Mobile phones are an integral part of everyday life, and today nearly 90% of U.S. adults own a mobile phone, with more than half of those being smartphones. Smartphones are equally big in Europe. More than 50% of European mobile subscribers have smartphones too. So we use these devices for a lot more than just phone calls. We're using them for texting, checking email, web access, and app usage. These account for much of our mobile time, and we're increasingly using them for survey taking. And then further driving this evolution is the increasing popularity of tablets such as the iPad, gaming consoles, and e-readers. Pew Research cites that 31% of adults in the U.S. now own a tablet as of last month. While tablet devices offer broader functionality that's more similar to computers really than mobile phones, for purposes of our discussion, I classify them as mobile devices primarily because of the touch screen interaction and the image scaling and those types of things that are needed to support them adequately. Beyond the general consumer usage of mobile devices, there's evidence that people are using them specifically for participation in market research activities. Here at Kinesis, and I think we presented this on the last NUMR Festival, we see that more than 30% of our survey traffic is coming from mobile devices in the U.S. Other research software providers are indicating their mobile traffic is now anywhere between 10 and 20%, depending on the platform, and also depending on the source of the traffic, whether it's from a panel or some other mechanism. But any way you look at it, this means that a significant number of respondents are using this already, and we're seeing rapid growth and expect these numbers to increase fairly rapidly over the next couple of years. So in light of this mobile revolution, most market researchers agree that all market research functions, not just online surveys, should be available to our participants to engage in on any device that they choose. And yet we find that relatively few research activities today are effectively mobile enabled. So effectively as an industry, we are what I would say, disengaging with and potentially alienating our research participants. So let's see if all of you are ready. As you make plans for moving your panels to dual mode support, let's take a look at the top 5 changes you can make right away to better support mobile users for your existing research community. The number one thing I think is to keep your registration and profiler processes short and simple. Mobile opens up several new recruitment opportunities for your community, a whole new slew of recruitment sources. And the last thing you want to do is lose new and willing participants because they can't complete the registration fields, which is step 1. So try to limit the data entry fields to 8 or fewer, since mobile users are entering information on a phone keypad, which is more difficult than on a computer keypad. Registration sites are usually kept short as a best practice, even for traditional desktop interactions, so you may get away with little to no modification on this one. You might also consider the theming elements and graphics and keep them so as not to hog up too much screens really with the design items. The majority of devices will interpret that your website optimized for desktop computers and will shrink all of your proportionately to fit each device. Users might not be able to read everything easily, but they can then expand their screen view for easier access to data fields. And while this is not necessarily the ideal in the way that a mobile-enabled registration table or profiler survey would be, this plan can carry you through in the short term and you'll still get mobile registrants. But of course it's important for your team to thoroughly test your registrations and profilers using a variety of mobile and tablet devices just to be sure it's usable. Longer term, you should implement a mobile responsive design or select a community website platform that provides it automatically so that all of your content is automatically displays what's optimum for each device screen. Then start collecting, as step number 2, each community member's mobile phone number if you're not already. The mobile phone number may be a vital data point in the future as you expand your community's mobile capabilities and offerings. It will be used for SMS communications to invite participants to download apps and for later app updates, and you'll use it for any location-based and geofencing projects. So if you do not foresee this need right now, use of the mobile number will become a part of your research arsenal in the future, and you may kind of collect it as you go. Along with the mobile phone number, it's recommended that you collect each community member's time zone so that any communications that are sent to them and potentially on their mobile device are sent during their daytime hours. Many people sleep with their phone beside them. I think the last statistic I saw was as many as 2/3 of smartphone owners, and they wouldn't appreciate being awoken to a survey invitation in the middle of the night. So we've taken this a little step further and implemented personalized context settings. Community member can specify their preferred communication methods, their preferred communication time frames, and even their frequencies. As a step 3, be sure to utilize shorter surveys. This seems so intuitive, but for many clients it's just not happening. To keep community members engaged over time, dual mode surveys should be kept to a shorter length than traditional web surveys. Since mobile phone and tablets are utilized on the go, long surveys will result in increased dropouts from mobile participants. All the research here, if you were at CASRO a week or so ago, is showing that the dropout rate for mobile respondents is higher than desktop respondents for the same length of survey. Surveys should be able to be completed using a mobile phone number in under 5 minutes. And again, have your team test this on various mobile devices to ensure that the survey can be completed in that time frame. There may be cases where longer surveys can't be avoided, and in these cases you may want to consider incentives that match expectations for lengthy design reward programs accordingly. And also important for longer surveys, utilize a progress bar so that respondents can readily see where they are in the survey at every point. It's crucial for mobile respondents. Step number 4 is eliminate Flash. Adobe's Flash technology, which is widely used on websites and in desktop surveys over the last several years, is dead to the mobile world. The website currently utilizes Flash elements for increased visual appeal. It's time to redesign those. In late 2011, Adobe announced that it would stop future development of Flash for mobile, and then last year it went a step further and announced it was disabling new installs of Flash on all Android devices. And since Flash was never compatible with Apple's iPhone or iPad, these moves effectively cut off Flash for the vast majority of the mobile web. Therefore, we recommend that you stop using Flash on community websites and in corresponding surveys. The alternatives to Flash include several plug-in agnostic technologies like HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript that are supported by nearly all browsers and devices. Adobe, along with the majority of web technology providers, are focusing on HTML5, and it reproduces much of the intuitive content that Flash has traditionally brought to the table. So this may not fall under the fast and easy change category, but it is a fast and easy alternative for communities that currently rely on Flash technology. And then if you don't have the development resources to change programming technologies and eliminate Flash anytime, you can at least add a notification to let your community members know that your community and corresponding surveys are not yet mobile enabled. This can be done easily by adding a sentence to the top of every community page and to let the survey invitation or opening remarks indicate that you have Flash embedded. And basically to inform participants that community interaction can only occur from desktop devices. You may want to even suggest that they drop out and drop back in with another device. So specific to surveys, another method is to simply detect for mobile browsers and terminate all the respondents using mobile devices with a brief message of apology. Or potentially control logic flow to route mobile respondents around the Flash hiccups in your projects. So these options are preferable to doing nothing and allowing Flash to cause error messages for mobile users, and should not entail any additional expense. So step 5 is to leverage social media. The utilization of social media with your community capitalizes on the insatiable usage of social media in general, and it offers a huge synergy with the mobile population. Statistics from some of the largest social media sites indicate that a significant percentage of their members access via mobile. About half of Facebook's 800 million users regularly access the Facebook website and apps from their mobile phones, and 60% of Twitter users do. And it's safe to assume these percentages will only continue to rise as smartphone market share rises. It's certainly, we're seeing great synergy with mobile respondents and the refer a friend via social media and these types of. It means that the majority of individuals who participate in social media desire to do so using a mobile device. So utilizing social media to communicate with your community members is incredibly easy because those sites are already optimized for mobile interaction via mobile web and mobile app versions. So if you don't have them already, consider creating social media pages for your company and your community. And the bonus is that the social media is just an excellent community recruitment tool for this mobile segment. I think that most research community platforms today offer Facebook login support and some of those types of features. So if you haven't tapped into this recruitment channel, don't delay. So those are my 5 fast and easy recommendations for mobilizing your research community. Of course, they're just the tip of the iceberg in terms of enhancements that you can and should make, but require a bit more strategizing and planning before implementation. The ultimate goal of every research community manager should be to deliver all the functionality possible in both modes so that this experience is perhaps not identical across devices, but as similar as possible. So now I'll quickly run through how a full dual mode transformation could be realized for a research community. You'll likely find that dual mode implementation and maintenance is easiest if a mobile supported content management platform is used for the community website. This kind of a structure enables you to provide, basically author the content just once, and the content management platform then does the work and serves up the content according to the type of device each participant elects to use. So it houses the device detection. For this to be successful, the device detection is absolutely critical, and whoever built and maintains your current website should be able to explore the options and begin mapping out the strategy for you. There's many market research software platforms available that offer the functionality and can make the transition relatively smooth and painless should you decide to go that route. So basically, what we're saying is that any functionality that is desktop enabled today should also work across your on mobile devices. So, when we think about those kinds of features and functions, they're just a lot of them are automation of processes like retrieval of lost passwords and displaying survey projects and your history and displaying incentives and being able to redeem those incentives and take mini polls and participate in chats and forums and use avatars and all of those types of things. Support offers the ability to provide community members with some new features as well. I think there are a lot of new features out there that can further improve the community experience, and I'd argue that in the long run, mobile enablement means providing more and new features, not fewer, and those should be explored as well. There are some process changes that are necessary when adding support for mobile interaction. Mobile community participation potentially requires the use and the collection and use of new types of metadata and user settings, which should be tracked. So again, the device type and browser being used, those are very valuable bits of information as you decide how and what to test internally. There's over, I think our device library has over 14,000 different device configurations, so it's very supported, so it's very important to know which ones are used most often. You need to consider all the legal opt-ins and outs for some of these newer technologies, especially around location-based information. I think that you want to consider having separate legal opt-ins for text messaging and location capture so that you're not necessarily including them as a part of your overall panel opt-in. Again, collecting time zone at the home base, as I mentioned earlier, having some do not disturb settings for your panelists who are going to be engaging with you in mobile mode. And just invitation settings in general. If SMS and in-app messaging and some of those more intrusive invitation modes are to be used, also consider very carefully whether the opt-out from one mode is simply an opt-out from that mode or a general community itself. If you start using intrusive types of invitations and make it the opt-out and general opt-out, you're probably not going to be aiding your overall panel churn statistics. So by keeping up with the mobilization that's being demanded today, your community will be ready for the truly integrated research processes of tomorrow. And I think the biggest of these is going to be the solo-mo research, by which I mean the intersection of research that utilizes social media, location-based services, and mobile technologies at the store shelf. That is a very exciting, dynamic area that I've talked about before. There's some information on our website about that, and that's what many panels are building to. So in closing, I'd like to just reiterate that the mobilization of all online market research functions is now essential because of where we are going, and let's all join together to support our participants the way we should and align ourselves for the future. So I appreciate your time today, and I'm happy to take questions.